Fremantle Shipwreck Museum is a fabulous place to visit. It has records of all the shipwrecks along the West Australian coast. Join me, Dawn, with my sister Margaret and her husband, Ken Richmond, in our visit of January 2007. Here's Ken Richmond in front of a cannon. We all walk from the Fremantle railway station through Fremantle past a number of historic buildings that were restored for the America's Cup in the 1980s. We reach the backside of the Shipwreck Maritime Museum and proceed down the street towards the front gate overlooking the harbor. The museum is well advertised and has a pearl fishing lugger out the front. I used to know this museum as the West Australian Maritime Museum, but it was reopened as the Shipwreck Museum in 1979. It's located in a historical building, the old Commissariat store, built in 1851. Here's Ken and Margaret celebrating their walk to the museum. I think they were glad to arrive because it was a reasonably warm day. The Shipwreck Museum's on Cliff Street, Fremantle, open daily almost every day of the year except Christmas and Good Friday. Entry is by donation. The official name is the West Australian Maritime Museum Shipwreck Galleries. Quite a mouthful. It's recognized as one of the foremost maritime archaeology museums in the Southern Hemisphere. The displays are in the restored convict-built Commissariat building and feature the early exploration of shipwrecks along the treacherous West Australian coastline. There are included some of the original timbers from the Dutch VOC ship, the Batavia. The museum features 4 Dutch wrecks. This map shows their locations. The ships sailing to what is now Indonesia often hit the shoreline of Australia at night and collided with the treacherous coral coastline. This photograph illustrates the dangerous and inhospitable nature of the coast. A famous oil painting of a shipwreck. One of the earliest explorers was Dave Vlaming. An early illustration of Dutch ships showing their structures. There are a number of separate galleries in the Shipwreck Museum. One of them features the recovered materials from various Dutch wrecks. Probably the best gallery is the Batavia one, with the centerpiece a reconstruction of some of the remains of the timbers excavated from the sands. The Batavia has been totally reconstructed in Holland, and there's a good website about this ship which sails today for tourists. The present-day Batavia is named after its predecessor, built in 1628 by the VOC, or Dutch United East India Company. During its maiden voyage, it was wrecked on a reef on the Australian west coast, near the Abrolhos Islands. 341 crew were aboard. 40 died trying to reach the mainland. A view of the construction of the current Batavia in the Netherlands, and the Batavia under sail today. We go to the Batavia viewing deck. There is a large section of timber that have been reconstructed. The ballast of the Batavia has been reconstructed, and it forms a gateway for the historic port of Batavia, now called Jakarta. It's quite an impressive gateway. The entire construction is well lit and air conditioned, and is quite eerie in the blackened room. It's very impressive. There's lots of historical and interpretive information. A view from the viewing deck looking down from above. There's information about the discovery and construction or archaeology of the ship. It looks like quite a fascinating task and may cause some students to direct their efforts towards marine archaeology. Ken in the background looks on at one of the big posters showing the excavation of the timbers. After the shipwreck of the Batavia, many people began to starve. There was a mutiny and murders to survive. This is apparently one of the victims that has been exhumed. There are many remains from the various Dutch shipwrecks. Looking at these remains gives you a pretty good idea of life in the 17th century. The Maritime Museum is also excavating some ships in Sri Lanka that belong to the Dutch East Indian Company. I found these stones very interesting. They're from Chinese junks, and they were combined with wooden boat anchors. They could date back to the 12th or 13th century. The exhibit on the Dutch East Indian Company is really quite complete and fascinating. This photograph of Amsterdam shows the prosperity of that city and of Holland during that period of time. More jugs from the wrecks. There was also quite a bit of bullion recovered, a lot of silver plate and coins, even some gold coins. Quite an interesting section on the pulleys and sheaves used on board some of the Dutch vessels. This ship's been reconstructed and can be seen here in Perth. A view of one of the cabins of, I think, the Batavia. There's an excellent display of Batavia's bullion, felt silk coins. I found the tobacco pipes quite interesting, and they hit hundreds of tobacco pipes. Really, there's so many displays, they're a bit mind-boggling, and it's impossible to take in the museum on one visit, or even two. There's an awful lot there. The displays go on and on. Of central importance was the Dutch United East Indies Company, founded in 1602. It was commonly called the VOC, and they were responsible for a lot of shipbuilding and exploration. It's really quite a good presentation about this company. It's also a good presentation about Batavia, or the modern-day Jakarta, its early construction. There's quite a few galleries, and we haven't visited them all. There's a number that I haven't even talked about, such as the North Gallery. There's the Woodblock Floor Gallery. The entrance gallery is quite good, and my sister Margaret headed towards the gift shop. She really does enjoy looking in these places. Thanks for joining me on this tour of the shipwreck galleries of the West Australian Maritime Museum. I do hope you have a good day. I give my best regards to Ken and Margaret Richmond back in freezing Canada.